So what are you on, man?
BlackTree TV. Okay, Russell Crowe. I mean, you're not only one of my favorite actors because of some of the great movies you've been in, but you're also one of my favorite interviews that I've had for State of Play.
Cool.
Back in the day. So I'm honored to be here, first of all. What was what made you get behind this picture and want to retell the story of Robin Hood?
Well, as a simple question that Brian Grazer asked me one day in my trailer when we were shooting American Gangster. He said, do you think it's time to remake Robin Hood, you know? And I had a really big response to that, you know? It was a simple yes, but it was really loud, you know? And it was loud in my head and it was loud in my heart, and I was like, wow, this is something that connects me back to being a 5-year-old. You know, sitting there and watching the crappy English TV series starring Richard Green, where every episode's pretty much the same, you know, and seeing the Errol Flynn film, and you know, seeing the Douglas Fairbanks movie, and seeing the Richard Todd version, and you know, I started to really think about it. You know, he asked me, and my response was immediate, and it was positive. But then when I really started to examine it, I was like, you know, every one of those Robin Hoods left me dissatisfied to a certain degree, you know. So even though it's been done and done and done and done, there's plenty of space to make a good one.
Right,
you know.
Right.
So, and I'm not necessarily sure that we've achieved all of that, you know, imagined idea, but we simply, you know, we've given it a good crack, I think, you know. Yeah. Wiping away all the cliches, looking at the history, you know, where's the fertile ground where a rebel leader could come and, you know, could rise and apply pressure to a monarch, you know. And, you know, the central concept of Robin Hood, of robbing from the rich to give to the poor. When we started spreading that out, it's like, well, how real is that? You know, how many bags of gold pieces have you got to go and get till everybody's got enough? You know,
right.
That didn't seem like a real thing, you know. But looking at it metaphorically, where you're talking about rights and privileges, the rights and privileges of the ruling class.
Right.
So here's a man who stands up, you know, and steals that and redistributes, you know, the rights of man to men, you know.
Right.
Calm and careful. Make it count. Go! It'll make a fine pincushion! King!
Now, working with Ridley Scott, I mean, you've worked with him on several films before, notably Gladiator. And how is the relationship when working with a director again? Like, is still the project? Is it always new, or when you have a director, is the familiarity, does it change your approach to the project? And how you...
Well, I think in an essential way, we know that any argument that we might have about something, you know, doesn't go to like an end game. You know what I mean? It's just a discussion, you know. And even if it's a strong discussion, it doesn't matter. Sooner or later, that discussion will yield a result, and that result is the thing that we'll pursue. You know, we have a respect for each other. We have an absolute trust in each other. You know, I know he's going to shoot whatever I do, and he knows whatever challenge he throws at me, I'll find a way of getting that into the camera. You know, so we have that. But I think one of the most important things is that, you know, we know that that discussion is just a discussion, and we know that there is going to be a result from it. You know, even if we don't solve it in day one, you know, 20 days later, we're probably still having the same discussion about some far-off scene, you know. But by the time we actually get to that set and we're doing that scene, we've looked at it, we've turned it over, you know, and we have the options in front of us. And oddly enough, the solution becomes apparent.
En garde! En garde!
Each generation seems to remake this movie and try to find what, you know, something that's familiar in their time to what in this story of Robin Hood is just familiar to this time, that this society we live in today.
Well, I think there's, you know, a lot of things going on in our world that the thought that there is somebody out there that cares enough to you know, rebalance what's going on. I think that that's a strong thing for everybody, you know, and that can be applied to any time, but, you know, particularly now where we've, you know, the world has experienced a global financial crisis. We've sort of got a new set of enemies, you know, that have been patting themselves on the back and rewarding themselves financially while other people suffer. So I think that, you know, brings a clear sort of space for the story as well. But, you know, I think it's very important, that central concept of Robin Hood, you know, that altruism, that thing of working on behalf of other people, you know, and we see week in, week out, some other place has had some disaster, some fire, some hurricane, some earthquake or whatever. And, you know, particularly in this country since 9/11, we've begun to really respect those people that have within them that social conscience, who stand up and work on other people's behalves and go down there and, you know, clear out that rubble, you know, find that person who's still alive underneath the building, you know. Right. And we begin to see that, you know, people that dedicate their lives in that way are very important.
Right. Well, thank you. A great movie, a great actor. You keep on entertaining. We'll definitely keep on watching.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Cheers.